Do I need to log my food to be successful with keto? And I'm going to read you a long description of this question. As I've recorded my food in Chronometer, I continue to run into some hindrance. I don't usually buy over-the-counter foods, and I make almost all of my meals from scratch, especially since being a child of the immediate post-World War II era. That rarely means I use a recipe other than what is in my head. I frequently look at what I have on hand and then make a meal from what is available. When I go to record my food entries, I'm constantly having to recreate the meal I made in my mind, and sometimes that's lengthy and difficult. I'm inclined not to worry about Chronometer, knowing that I have a pretty good idea about my daily intake. Any thoughts other than making my meals simpler?
So this is a fantastic question and asked by a member, and I totally relate to this question because ever since we met, you've just been like, you would be like, here's what we have in the fridge, I don't know what to eat, and I can come up with a meal because I grew up with like learning how to cook beside my great grandma and my mom. So I can make meals out of just random ingredients, just like this. So I just love this question. So my advice is when you're new to keto, keto is so counterintuitive to how we were taught to eat. So if you're anything like me, you grew up in the fat-free era. It was just pushed down our throats that eating dietary fat was what was making us fat. Mm-hmm. And so we were eating fat-free this and fat-free that. Well, because we have been doing that for so long, when we very first start keto, it feels very unnatural to eat so much fat. And that's why I recommend, and I teach people in my 7-day challenge online course, I teach people to use Chronometer. Because it's important to learn what eating keto looks like. Because it's just, it is very difficult in the beginning to be eating enough fat and to kind of switch things over. Because what I found and what countless clients that I've worked with find is they think they're eating enough fat, but when they put it into the program, they find that they're way below where they think they are. And that's just because the brain is really bad at tracking and remembering these things. So, to come back to your question, you said, I already know how to do this. So I wouldn't worry too much about tracking. But here's when I would track. When you hit a plateau and you stop seeing the results you want to get.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, so today, you got me thinking about a meal that I put together for myself today, which was a 5-egg omelet. Now, these are locally sourced eggs, so they're pretty
really
small. But I had a whole avocado, heavy whipping cream, and cheddar cheese.
You ate the whole ripe avocado.
Yeah, I did.
He did that to me last week. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, because I had to throw away 4 the week before because I all went bad.
Okay.
Anyways, so I have no idea what the macros of that meal were. But I'm a seasoned, keto veteran, so I'm really not all that concerned, and I'm actually working to put on more muscle right now. But if I was new to keto, and I was, like you said, plateauing, I would really need to go back and look at that meal and really evaluate how much fat, how much protein, how much carbohydrates were in that meal to have a good idea of, what's going on in my body.
And it's also interesting, when I hit a plateau or I'm struggling with my food and I want to take a look at things, I'll log my food for 3 or 4 days. And it seems like every time I do that, I find a hidden carb buried somewhere in the ingredients list of products, sometimes products I've been using for years. Because products will actually reformulate. And unless you're reading the ingredients every single time you buy it, you don't catch it. I mean, there's been a handful of products like that when I was like, oh, this product has added something that I know that I don't do well with. I had a salad dressing, a store-bought salad dressing I had been using since I started keto that added some maltodextrin and inulin. And I think that caused me to plateau because when I went back to making my own salad dressings, that issue went away. So there's a discovery process that you can go through whenever you plateau or you're struggling. You can just kind of go back, log. And you don't even have to do it in real time. You could log all the things you're normally eating, because most of us are kind of repetitive eaters. Like we tend to stick within a comfort zone of our favorite foods. So you can just log typical days too if you don't have time to log throughout the day.
Now, if you're making your own food at home and you're consuming what you think are whole food ingredients, like cheese, eggs, avocado, stuff that looks like it's in its natural form, you might be surprised at what you're putting in your mouth. Like we had talked about shredded cheese. Shredded cheese, by all accounts, looks like a single ingredient, cheese. But a lot of shredded cheese is coated with something so that it doesn't stick together. And when we were looking at the cheddar cheese, and it's actually, they use potato starch in this cheddar cheese that we eat to keep it from sticking together. Now, I don't think it's a lot, but over time and with enough consumption, that's going to have an impact.
Yeah.
So even though it looks like a whole food ingredient, you want to check the label and make sure, especially if you've plateaued, you want to make sure that what you're eating is actually what you think you're eating.
Yeah.